My heart I gave thee, not to do it pain. Poem by Sir Thomas Wyatt, presented by Ms. E.R. Anuradha, Assistant Professor in English, PSGR KCW, Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu, India. Sir Thomas Wyatt. Author's note. Sir Thomas Wyatt, born in 1503, died in 1542, was a prominent English poet and diplomat during the Renaissance, known for introducing the Petrarchan sonnet into English literature. Wyatt's works often explored themes of love, politics, and personal reflection. His poetry laid the groundwork for later poets such as William Shakespeare and Sir Philip Sidney. He had played a significant role in shaping the landscape of English Renaissance literature. Author's biography. Early life. Thomas Wyatt was born around 1503 to Sir Henry Wyatt and Anne Skinner. His family was of noble lineage, and Wyatt received a classical education. His diplomatic career. Wyatt served as a diplomat and ambassador for King Henry VIII, representing English interests in various European courts. His diplomatic missions took him to places such as Spain and Italy, exposing him to different literary traditions. His literary contributions. Wyatt is often credited with introducing the Petrarchan sonnet into English literature. He adapted and experimented with forms and themes from Italian poetry, contributing to the development of English Renaissance poetry. Wyatt's sonnets explored themes of love, politics, and personal reflection. His use of the Petrarchan form, with its octave and sestet structure. He has written many sonnets, verses, and other poetic works, but many were not published until after his untimely death from fever. 96 of his songs appeared in the first printed anthology of English poetry, as Songs and Sonnets in Tottel's Miscellany. Other pieces of his work have gradually been discovered among his papers and been shared with us. His courtly intrigues. As a courtier, Wyatt navigated the complexities of Henry VIII's court, which was marked by political intrigue, changing alliances, and personal rivalries. Wyatt himself faced accusations of treason, but managed to avoid severe consequences. His imprisonment and release. Wyatt experienced periods of imprisonment due to his political affiliations and alleged involvement in the downfall of Anne Boleyn. He was released, and his later career saw a return to diplomatic service. His death. Thomas Wyatt died in 1542 at the age of 39. Despite his relatively short life, his contributions to English poetry endure, and he is remembered as a key figure in the development of the sonnet tradition. Sir Thomas Wyatt's literary legacy lies not only in his poetic innovations, but also in his ability to capture the complexities of the human experience during a time of profound societal and political change. His works continue to be studied and appreciated for their poetic craftsmanship and historical significance.
His death. Thomas Wyatt died in 1542 at the age of 39. Despite his relatively short life, his contributions to English poetry endure, and he is remembered as a key figure in the development of the sonnet tradition. Sir Thomas Wyatt's literary legacy lies not only in his poetic innovations but also in his ability to capture the complexities of the human experience during a time of profound societal and political change. His works continue to be studied and appreciated for their poetic craftsmanship and historical significance.
Read a poem, My Heart I Gave Thee, Not to Do It Pain, by Thomas Wyatt. My heart I gave thee, not to do it pain, but to preserve, it was to thee taken. I served thee, not to be forsaken, but that I should be rewarded again. I was content thy servant to remain, but not to be paid under this fashion. Now since in thee is none other reason, displease thee not if that I do refrain, unsatiate of my woe and thy desire, assured by craft to excuse thy fault. But since it please thee to feign a default farewell, I say, parting from the fire, for he that believeth bearing in hand, plougheth in water and soweth in the sand. Introduction to the poem. Most people who have fallen in love with the wrong person have felt exactly what Thomas Wyatt described 500 years ago. Bafflement, hurt, disappointment, a sort of indignant resentment that honest and true feeling have been mistreated, and a tiny thread of embarrassment that such a mistake could have been made. Sir Thomas Wyatt's My Heart I Gave Thee is a poignant Petrarchan sonnet that delves into the complexities of love, betrayal, and resignation. The poem was composed during the Renaissance. Wyatt's sonnet reflects the shifting landscape of courtly relationships and the tumultuous emotions that accompany unrequited love. The poem is characterized by its emotional depth, masterful use of language, and thematic exploration of the paradoxes inherent in romantic entanglements. Different key themes of the poem as follows: love and betrayal. The poem explores the dichotomy between the speaker's sincere expressions of love and the perceived betrayal by the beloved. The initial act of giving the heart is contrasted with the painful realization of being forsaken. 2. Unrequited devotion. Wyatt captures the essence of unrequited love, where the speaker serves the beloved with the expectation of being rewarded. The unfulfilled desire for reciprocity adds a layer of emotional tension to the poem. 3. Disillusionment. As the poem unfolds, the speaker becomes disillusioned with the beloved, citing a lack of reason and dissatisfaction with the manner of repayment. This disillusionment leads to a decision to refrain from further service. 4. Craftiness and deception. Wyatt introduces the theme of deception, suggesting that the beloved employs craft to excuse faults and feigns a default. This aspect adds a layer of complexity to the relationship, showcasing the manipulation involved. 5. Farewell and parting. The poem concludes with a poignant farewell, symbolically parting from the metaphorical fire of the relationship. The decision to say farewell reflects the speaker's acknowledgement of the need to distance themselves from the emotional turmoil. 6th, proverbial warning. The concluding couplet offers a proverbial warning about the consequences of believing false promises. The imagery of plowing in water and sowing in the sand underscores the futility of trusting in deceptive actions. Stylistic elements in the poem are 1. Petrarchan sonnet form. Wyatt employs the Petrarchan sonnet form with an octave and sestet. The octave sets up the situation, and the sestet provides resolution and reflection. 2. Imagery and metaphor. The use of vivid imagery, such as giving the heart and parting from the fire, contributes to the emotional impact of the poem. Metaphors like plowing in water and sowing in the sand enhance the thematic depth. 3. Irony. Irony is woven into the narrative, particularly in the realization that the beloved's woe is a consequence of their own disdain. The irony adds layers of complexity to the speaker's reflections. Let us listen to the poem-verse explanation line by line with its meaning, and to interpret to analyze with literary devices. Line 1. My heart I gave thee, not to do it pain. I gave you my heart, not to cause it pain. My heart I gave thee. This means, I gave you my heart. The heart is a classic symbol for love and deep emotion. Not to do it pain. This phrase means not to cause it pain. The speaker emphasizes that his love was a gift, meant to be treasured and not to be a source of suffering for the beloved.
The speaker tells the beloved he offered his heart as a gift, not so that it would be hurt. Literary device used in this line is apostrophe, direct address to the metaphor/personification. The heart stands for love and is treated like an object that can be given and can feel pain. Antithesis, giving versus pain, gift intended for care, not hurt. Effect is appealed in this line, immediate, plaintive opening that mixes courtly devotion with a complaint. Summary of the line: the speaker gave their heart to the beloved without intending harm, it was given to be preserved by the beloved. Analysis of the given line: the speaker's initial act of giving the heart is portrayed as an act of trust and vulnerability.
Line 2. But to preserve, it was to thee taken. Meaning, he gave his heart for safekeeping, yet it was taken by the beloved, implying it has been misused or appropriated literary devices. Irony, given to preserve yet taken in a way that implies loss of control. Chiasmus, giving, preserving versus taking. Inversion, word order emphasizes to preserve. Effect, establishes betrayal or misuse. What was meant as trust has become possession. Line 3. I served thee not to be forsaken. Meaning of this line is that he served and worshipped or attended her not so that she would abandon him. Literary device found in this line is courtly love diction. Served evokes the medieval lover as servant. Negative construction, heightening expectation, not to be forsaken. Effect that are related to such as reiterates the speaker's loyal role and his reasonable expectations. Line 4. But that I should be rewarded again. Meaning of this line is that he served with the hope of reciprocation, that his devotion would bring some return, love, favor. Literary device found in this line is synecdoche and merism. Reward can mean affection, attention, status. Balanced syntax with line 3 for contrast. Effect that are related to such as moves from idealized service to a practical expectation of reward, as blends love and exchange. To sum the meaning of this verse as, the speaker served the beloved not to be abandoned, but with the expectation of being rewarded. Analysis of the verse as such. The speaker emphasizes the intention behind their service, expecting reciprocity and love. As her lover hurts his love rather than rewarding his love as a treasure. Line 5. I was content thy servant to remain. Meaning of this line is, he was willing to stay in the humble role of servant your lover. Literary device used in this line is repetition and parallelism, echoes I served thee, humble diction, content, servant. Effect could be found such as emphasizes patience and willing submissiveness, a staple of courtly love poems. Line 6, and not to be repaid after this fashion, meaning, but he did not expect to be repaid in the unkind way she has repaid him. Literary device used in this line is antithesis, willing servitude versus unacceptable repayment. Euphemism, this fashion stands in for her cruelty or inconstancy. Effect could be found, such as marks a turning point. The speaker objects to the manner of the beloved's response. I was content thy servant to remain, but not to be paid under this fashion. To sum up the above lines is that the speaker was content to be the beloved's servant, but not to be repaid in a hurtful manner. Analysis of these lines is that the tone begins to shift, hinting at a sense of dissatisfaction and unmet expectations. Line 7. Now since in thee there is none other reason, meaning of this line is that, now that there is no good reason in her, no justification in her behavior. Literary device found in this line is skeptical tone, elliptical construction, leaves the precise reason implicit, constancy, love, honor. Effect of the line that are related to such as begins to shift the speaker from pleading toward resignation. Line 8. Displease thee not if that I do refrain. Meaning of this line is that don't be angry if he withdraws, if he refrains from further service or appeal. Literary device found in this line is polite imperative and softened reproach, euphemistic phrasing, refrain instead of leave. Effect of the line that are related to such as he announces retreat with courteous language, preserves dignity. Now since in thee is none other reason, displease thee not if that I do refrain. Summary of these lines are that the speaker, finding a lack of reason in the beloved, decides to refrain from further service. Analysis of these lines are that the speaker expresses disappointment and hints at a growing disillusionment. Line 9. Unsatiate of my woe and thy desire. Meaning of this line is that he remains unsated in sorrow even as she remains unsatisfied in desire, or he's unsatisfied both in his grief and, ironically, by her desire. The grammar allows ambiguity. Literary device found in this line is paradox is that he remains unsated in sorrow even as she remains unsatisfied in desire, and ambiguity could be referred as that he's unsatisfied both in his grief and, ironically, by her desire. The grammar allows ambiguity. Alliteration such as repetition, W sound, condensed phrasing typical of older poetry. Effect of this line such as conveys emotional complexity, grief continues, desire is unfulfilled, or perhaps one-sided. Line 10. Assured by craft to excuse thy fault. Meaning of this line is that he will use skill and strategy to excuse or explain away her dealt with her fault, or he's convinced by artifice to excuse her. The line can mean he's using artifice to cover her misdeed, or that craft guarantees an excuse. Literary device found in this line is Ambiguity and irony. Assured by craft, this phrase suggests cleverness rather than genuine forgiveness. Legalistic diction is used, such as the excuse thy fault. Effect of this line, such as suggests the speaker will manage appearances, perhaps feign forgiveness or craft a social excuse, rather than continue to suffer openly. Unsatiate of my woe and thy desire, assured by craft to excuse thy fault. Summary of these lines are that the speaker is unsatisfied with their own sorrow and the beloved's desire, convinced of the beloved's deceptive excuses. Analysis of these lines are that the speaker acknowledges the futility of the situation and the craftiness of the beloved. Line 11. But since it pleaseth thee to feign default, meaning of this line is that, but if she prefers to pretend he is at fault, or to feign some default, i.e., she acts as if he has failed. Literary device found in this line is antithesis, accusation, legal language. Feign default sounds like a juridical charge, tonal shift toward formal separation. Effect in this line is that the beloved's choice to pretend or falsely accuse legitimizes his departure. Line 12. Farewell, I say, parting from the fire. Meaning of this line is that he says farewell and departs from the fire. The passion/household hearth/love. Literary device found in this line is metaphor, fire equals passion or a shared home. Vocative farewell, caesura gives emphasis to the goodbye. Effect in this line is that a dignified exit. Fire image underlines warmth lost and the finality of his withdrawal. But since it please thee to feign a default, farewell, I say, parting from the fire. Summary of these lines are as such. Despite the deception, the speaker bids farewell, parting from the metaphorical fire of the relationship. Analysis of these lines are as such. The decision to part ways suggests a finality and a desire to escape the emotional turmoil. There are metaphors in the last two lines of the sonnet compares the futility of certain efforts in love to agricultural tasks that yield no results. The imagery found in these lines, such as of plowing in water and soweth in the sand, suggests that the speaker feels his attempts of making love are as pointless as trying to farm in unsuitable conditions of wasteland, of infertility land, or soil, which will not help in growing or cultivation. This highlights the despair and hopelessness that he feels in his relationship towards his unfaithful lover. Summary of these lines could be explained in the concluding couplets of the poem as he advises against believing false promises, comparing it to plowing in water and sowing seeds in the sand which are helpless in growth and development of cultivation. Hence, he abided farewell to his unfaithful over analysis of theses. Lines are as such. The proverbial warning reinforces the theme of deception and the futility of trusting in false assurances.
These lines could be explained in different options, such as first option colon be related, as it implies a general comparison between love and impossibility, but it does not specifically address the unique imagery of plowing and sowing presented in the lines. While this option touches on the theme of enduring love despite hardship, it does not directly connect to the metaphor of futile agricultural efforts. The second option suggests a desire for love as an attempt to plant, but it overlooks the critical aspect of the futility expressed in the metaphor. The third option accurately reflects the sentiment of the metaphor, as it conveys the idea that the speaker's efforts in love are fruitless, akin to trying to cultivate crops in unworkable soil.
To conclude this poem, as with author Sir Thomas Wyatt's point of view, the phrase, "My heart I gave thee," stands as a testament to the timeless exploration of love's complexities, the pain of betrayal, and the enduring human struggle to navigate the intricacies of relationships. Hence, this Petrarchan sonnet remains a poignant example of Wyatt's contribution to the literary legacy of the English Renaissance.
Thank you so much for patient listening this audiobook. Stay tuned till we collaborate with another audiobook. Bye bye, take care and have a great day ahead. See you guys.